And that's a good segue into the end part of the Q&A, keeping in touch with people. Marion, what advice do you have for keeping track of everyone you've met at the convention and the stack of business cards that you walk away with?
So when you meet somebody and you get their business card, right after you meet them, write something on the back of the business card so you remember something of the conversation, whether you talked about a job, potentially, even if you talked about their dog, so you can allude to it in the card. Also, I like to do a nice handwritten touch, like George was saying. Make sure, I even make my own cards sometimes, and
wow.
I remind them who I am. I mean, now it would be the purple-haired Asian girl, but it'll be like, oh, I talked to you about this, you know, or this, and I appreciate your time, and I put my business card in there. And then I follow up with an email later on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Earl, were you the one who said wow?
No.
Oh.
What?
Wow to Marion's handmade, personalized.
Oh, I was the one who said wow.
Oh.
I think it's great.
George.
It's a genius idea.
Excellent. Roel, how about your advice for, you know, what to do post-convention?
I take a little bit of a different approach. I like waiting a little while before sending notes, before sending an email, because what I've seen is when I was on the other side, when I was on the recruiting side, it was a blast of people who would send me notes and emails. It was literally a rush in that first week or two. I actually wait, you know, a week or two and then, you know, start reaching out to people. Even sometimes a month. It's by total feel, of course, before I email and talk to people. So I'd like to take a gap because and the other things going on is, remember, there's NABJ going on, SPJ going on. You've got all these AAJA that's going on. You've got so many conventions. It's not just a rush from AAJA. It's a rush from a lot of different conventions. A lot of these recruiters. When I was at CNN, I only went to AAJA, but when I was at Cox, I went to SAJA and AAJA. And so you would see this whole rush all at the same time. It's almost a blur. I actually like waiting.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
I also send Christmas cards to the really close ones.
Postcard?
They're handmade.
Oh, wow. Handmade.
Touch.
I just want to add, thank you, Ro, for mentioning about the timetable. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I usually send the thank you cards and notes after that 2 weeks. I usually wait about half a month, and sometimes a month, depending on how many people I've met. You know, I try to crank out maybe 2 or 3 a day. But yeah, usually I wait a couple of weeks because, as Ro makes a great point of the other conventions that are going on. So. Yeah, if you join the flood of people during that first week, it might get lost even, you know, in the inbox or even in the mailbox. So it might be good to wait half a month to a month before you send out your personal note.
Excellent. I guess this brings us to our open Q&A section. It's kind of, you know, anything we didn't cover that you feel is important to relay to anyone who's viewing this video. It's kind of out there. Who wants to start, George?
Just one thing I want to mention because of the again, many years I've been going to these conventions, is that one thing I would love to see is just and this is just me. Because I think the success, whether it's NABJ, us, Unity, whatever it is, obviously is the involvement. And I know a lot of people go for their own benefit, and that's great. I mean, you should do that because at the end of the day, you got to pay the bills and you got to focus on your career. But at the same time, I would love to see more involvement from people. And this is the one place, the one time where we can get together and maximize that. And if anyone out there is interested in getting involved with AAJA or taking their experience to the next level, I encourage you to like go to one of the mixers that SMBJ and SBJ will have before the reception. You know, something like that where you can kind of see how you can make a difference for others. I'm a mentor, and I encourage people to pay it forward by mentoring others, and I like to see that. And it's at the conventions where you can make that happen. So that's just kind of one of the things I want to leave with people out there, is to kind of think about ways to get more involved, because the more you put in, the more you can get out of it, and years from now you'll see the benefits that can come from that.
Yeah, Rahul.
One thing I do want to say is slightly contradictory to what I said earlier. The idea that this is a business trip. I also want everybody to figure out a time, whether it's a half a day, whether it's Saturday morning or Friday afternoon, step away from the convention and go do something either with friends, people you know, or by yourself, something that's for yourself. Las Vegas, me and 3 other people caught a show at Cirque du Soleil. In Detroit, it was just going down and having a hot dog with a group of people at the 2 famous hot dog places. Take at least one break, just something that's going to be memorable from the convention. Washington, D.C. is an amazing, amazing city. Don't lock yourself in the Renaissance Hotel. Go walk down to the Lincoln Memorial. Go walk to the World War II Memorial. Go to Ben's Chili Bowl. Make a memory for yourself that's away from the convention that you'll really enjoy. I've always found that important. I can always think of at least one good memory from each convention, something that I did on my own or went off on my own. And that includes that's the great things like George's Korean barbecue night. Some of those have been amazingly memorable because they ended like the next afternoon eventually. So make sure you take time for yourself away from the convention. Saturday morning and afternoon may be a great time before we do the gala and the karaoke.
You know, that actually reminds me of another question we had.
I have to second that. I would say that.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Marion.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna second what Errol said, because I would say that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of my very closest friends are from AAJA, so I not only consider them mentees, mentors, but family. So it's an integral part of my life, and so I think not only is a place to figure out where your career is, but it's a place to have fun and kind of like rejuvenate yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is like a family reunion every year.
Miss you, George.
So actually, Raul's, getting into that part of the conversation, it also reminded me of another question that we had, and it's kind of back to the workshops that are offered. It's a huge part of the convention. And another question was, do we have to go to all of them, or is it okay to leave a workshop?
It is definitely okay to leave a workshop, especially if you feel that you're not getting anything out of it. There's nothing that says you have to stay for the whole session. Workshop hopping, panel hopping, very, very common. In fact, I do it all the time. Sometimes I'll give 10 minutes, and if in those 10 minutes I hear something, I might sit down. They got me. Sometimes at the end of 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I don't really see this happening, especially if there are 2 or 3 others that you're really interested in. And you're like, well, I do want to check that out. But sometimes you'll say, I do want to check out this other one, but this one's getting me. I'm connecting with this, so I want to stay here. And then hopefully you have other friends who are at the other one. Then you can say, hey, how did that go? And then kind of get feedback from the other one. So you feel like you're kind of there, but you got to do what you got to do. So if you think you're going to be panel hopping, my suggestion is you kind of sit in the back, because nothing is worse than being in the front and then getting up, because everyone will see that. So if you just want to kind of poke your head in, I would just say kind of be in the back, listen in, and then if you want to stay, try to see if there's an open seat closer to the table, to the front table, and then sit down. That's just my recommendation.
Anyone else? I think those are all the questions that I got from people. How about you, Derek?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered all our bases.
Excellent. Well, I think this was a very great discussion. I think all of our moderators were able to touch on a lot of different perspectives they had. So thank you so much.
Sounds good, guys.
And
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek and Van, for organizing this hangout for our members and anyone else who may be listening in or watching. I think this is just a very, very important type of discussion as we head into the convention. So again, thank you to Van and Derek for organizing this. Really appreciate it.
And I would invite anybody who sees this and has more questions and spots us at the convention to introduce themselves, and if they have anything else, to ask us personally or reach out to us.
Yep. And also,
guys in DC.
Obviously, Raul knows about DC, and then it was mentioned to me just on my phone that the organizers, those who have been organizing this convention, they live in DC right now. They know all the hot spots in terms of restaurants and bars. There'll be many, many people there from DC who can help you out.
Okay, and he just
see you guys in DC.
See you in DC.
See you in DC.
Yeah.
Bye.